What's up, everyone? So, question for you guys today. Once a black belt, always a black belt? So, the internet's been abuzz with the question of if a person gets a black belt in, say, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then they take like a 5 or a 10-year break, when they come back, and if they're getting tapped out by lower belts, should they maintain their black belt status? Go ahead and put in the comments below what your guys' thoughts are, and let's talk about this in today's video. All right, so like I said, the question for today was, should you always be a black belt once you get your black belt status in, say, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and then you take a break? Well, interestingly enough, one of my instructors actually had this dilemma happen with one of his instructors a few years back. And so there was a Jiu-Jitsu instructor that got out of Jiu-Jitsu, did MMA for, I don't know, like 15, 16, 17 years, and then decided to go back into BJJ. And that person happened to own a few different martial arts schools. When he got back into Jiu-Jitsu, he was actually noticing like he didn't know some of the fundamentals. He didn't know some of the stuff that had all changed over the last, 15 years or so. And so he said, hey, I'm no longer going to be a black belt. I'm going to be a purple belt. But that raised red flags for everybody that he promoted to black belt. They're like, hey, what does that mean for us? And is that going to affect us? So I think it was about a week later, he actually said, hey, no, I'm going to stay a black belt, but I'm going to go back to my fundamentals class and I'm going to go ahead and relearn and work my way all the way back up. So fast forward to today. So the internet was abuzz all last week. I think almost every single day on my feed, I saw something about this. I know Jiu-Jitsu did a video on it. And because of my experience with some of this, I thought we'd do a video on our channel about it as well. So first things first, let's talk about the reasons we get into training. For a lot of people, it might be for self-defense. It might be for stress relief. It might be for something to do. It might be for fitness. It could be any number of reasons. But very, very rarely have I ever heard someone say, well, I got into this sport so I could smash everybody else who I see on the mats. That's the thing that I think is missing in this current conversation. Everybody is judging our progress based on how we tap out every single person on the mat, but that wasn't why we got into this in the first place. And so if you started jiu-jitsu, say at 17, 16, whatever, and let's say you got your black belt at like 25, well, then somewhere around 25, you end up, finishing school and, you meet your special someone and you guys get married and maybe have some kids and your career takes off and then you have to put jiu-jitsu on the back burner while life kind of takes a hold. And then, 5, 10 years later, you're like, hey, I want to go back to this thing called jiu-jitsu. What ends up happening is you get back on the mats and you realize, one, you probably forgot or you're really rusty on a lot of various techniques. Also, there's going to be all these new developments over the years. It seems like every year there's a new guard or two developed that you're not going to know about. And then three, there's going to be all these young and hungry, those people that are 20, those blue belts and purple belts and brown belts that are going to be, gunning for you because you have that black belt on. And also the fact that they're still young and hungry, they're going to probably get you. They're probably going to tap you. Does that mean you're no longer a black belt? In my opinion, I say yes, you're still a black belt. However, the thing is you have to get back on the mats and you got to get back into training. So you might not feel black belt level for a while. It might be several months, if not even a year or two, before you feel like you're back to where you were. But that doesn't mean you don't have something to offer. And I am going to put a link to Jiu-Jitsu's video up on the top because I think he brought up some really good points. And I'm not going to reiterate literally word for word what he said, but I think he made up some good points. And the fact that, like I said, we don't get into this sport or this martial art strictly to say, hey, I tap everybody that I see on the floor. We get into it for self-defense. Well, are you still getting self-defense out of your training even though maybe you're not tapping out all the blue belts? I'd say yes. Are you still getting fitness? Of course. Are you still getting, stress relief? Hopefully. And are you still getting the things out of it in which you initially intended? Don't wrap everything up in, do I tap or do I get tapped? Because that's a thing I think, one, a lot of white belts do in the very beginning. They're like, well, I beat so-and-so today, and then they'll be like, I got beat by everybody. I think that's the problem we're getting confused on is we're judging our progress based on if we tap somebody out or if they tapped us out. And I get it, for competition and for some other things, that is how we're going to rate everything. But if you're not in this for competition, let's say you're in this for the hobby and you're a parent and you have your kid or two kids at home and this is just kind of the thing to get you out of the house and make you feel better about yourself, then you shouldn't really be basing your entire progress on, hey, that 16-year-old blue belt tapped me out today. You should be looking at like, did I get my workout in? Did I burn out some of that stress? Do I feel better about myself overall? And with that being said, something that I think is missing from the world of jiu-jitsu that, again, Jiu-Jitsu points out, and I think he made a really good point, is in a lot of other martial arts and even in a lot of other areas of life, our mentors, the people that came before us, we tend to look up to and pay respects to. But it seems like in the world of jiu-jitsu, we only pay respect to the people that tap us out. And even if we have a person who, let's say we can beat them, that doesn't mean that they don't offer us something that they can say, hey, if you do this sweep this way, or if you set up your submission this way, it's going to make your game better. One of the things that I'm honored and privileged to be a part of is, one, I get to work with Professor Carlos Machado, and I also get to work with Guru Inasano. And Guru will tell you right out the gate, he's like, look, I'm 85 years old. I am not here to try to challenge anybody. You guys would probably, cream me. And I don't know if that's 100% true, but I understand where he's coming from. Being 80 something years old, he is not going to be able to handle that young and strong and powerful 20 something year old person that's got that martial arts skill. But that's not what he's intending to do. He's trying to pass on the knowledge at this point. He is not here to prove his battles. And it would be the same thing with Professor Helio Gracie back in the day. Even, when he got older, he wasn't rolling or trying to submit all the students. He was rolling with people that he felt safe and secure with because, again, he was in his 80s and 90s. He can't really take the chance of getting hurt. But that doesn't mean to say that he didn't have something to offer to all of the students. Professor Carlos Machado is my instructor, and he doesn't roll on a regular basis. He does roll like in private lessons and stuff, but he's not out there doing a seminar and like, all right, let's roll, everyone. Again, he's older, and his entire livelihood is based on him being able to go around and teach this stuff on a daily basis. Professor Carlos still can roll, and he rolls with I've rolled him several times, and he rolls with his senior students, stuff like that, the other instructors, and he can still ball us up and put us away like there's nothing. However, there's, I think, a mutual respect. He is not rolling aka strangers or that person who might be out there trying to hurt him, and at the same time, we're rolling with him in a manner of respect that, hey, what am I going to learn or what am I going to take away from this process? And that's the thing I think we got to take into account is, what are we going to get out of this? Yes, maybe that, again, that blue or that purple belt can tap somebody. Professor Helio Seneca told me years ago, he's like, on average, that hungry purple belt or competition level purple belt will beat the hobbyist instructor or black belt on pretty often occasions. And so that's the thing you got to remember is, why did you get into this? And if you didn't get into this for, well, I need to be able to beat every single blue and purple belt and everybody I see on the floor, then that's the key here. That's the trick. So in my opinion, once a black belt, always a black belt. Yes, I would say yes. However, if you want to be, current in this game, you will have to get back on the mats. You are going to have to put in some time. You're going to have to learn the stuff that maybe has evolved when you were out of the system. Get that rolling around and get comfortable again with those people and say, hey, even if they can't catch you with this, I'm sure there's going to be an element or something you're going to see that say, hey, have you ever thought about it this way? Something I think is really cool is Professor Eric Paulson and Guru Inasano are no longer necessarily always teacher-student. A lot of times they're now sharing information. Even though Guru still is Eric's instructor and he pays him the respects as so, also but Guru also respects Eric's opinion and thoughts on certain subjects. And that's one of the things that I feel really blessed and lucky. My instructor, AJ, and myself had that same kind of symbiotic relationship. I still pay him respect and he's still my instructor. Yet at this point now, he is able to say, hey, what do you think about this? Or I'm able to throw questions at him and say, hey, I learned this new move at a seminar. What do you think about this? And we can break it down a little bit. Well, that's the end of today's video. Again, put in the comments below what your thoughts are on this subject. Like I said, it's all over the internet right now. Do you think somebody once a black belt is always a black belt? And that could be Kali, that could be Jiu-Jitsu, that could be Judo, that could be karate, that could be kickboxing, that could be anything. So it doesn't have to be just Jiu-Jitsu. Just Jiu-Jitsu is the topic that was all over the internet right now, and I thought we would kind of talk about it. You like the video, do me a favor, click that like button. It's a little thing for you, but a big thing for us here at Martial Arts Limited. If you like stuff you see on the channel, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Helps out a lot. And then last but not least, hit that bell icon, a ding ding, so you get access to all the videos and you know when they're coming out from everybody here at Martial Arts Limited. You guys are awesome. Stay safe, keep training, keep your elbows close. This is JD, and I'm out.